Just how confident can a rich man get? Even after falling into police custody, Mike stayed completely calm. Facing the news crews gathered outside, he flat out offered a $100 million bounty. Anyone who could break him out of jail would walk away with the cash. The cops figured he was just talking crazy, but what they didn't see coming was how fast the news would spread across the city through the live broadcast. From street gangs to inmates behind bars, everyone caught wind of the jaw-dropping reward. Soon after, Mike was loaded onto a transport bus, waiting for the police escort to move him to prison. The driver had everything ready for the handoff when suddenly a cop walked up and shot him dead without hesitation. Nobody saw it coming. The first person to betray the police was one of the very officers assigned to guard the prisoner. He walked over to Mike and pulled him off the bus. At the same moment, his accomplices providing outside cover sprang into action, opening fire on the SWAT team nearby, while another traitor got ready to load Mike into a police car and drive off. But things didn't go their way. SWAT hit back hard, and both traitors were gunned down on the spot. In the chaos, Mike tried to make a run for it, but he was quickly surrounded by the incoming SWAT team. Even so, that $100 million bounty kept working its magic because Mike was no ordinary criminal. He was a notorious drug kingpin from the Middle East worth billions. The police quickly realized just how serious things were getting. To keep another incident from happening in transit, they changed the plan and decided to move Mike by helicopter, arranging a secret transfer on the roof of a skyscraper hundreds of meters high. The helicopter arrived at the designated spot and everything seemed set. But right as the chopper was about to land, gang members hiding in the shadows made their move. A sniper pulled the trigger and the bullet nailed the helicopter's fuselage, throwing it off balance instantly. Then a second shot came in. Watching it all unfold, Mike broke into a grin because he knew exactly what money could do. The next second, the helicopter started shaking violently, completely out of control, and slammed into the ground. With a massive crash, it exploded on impact, engulfed in flames. Nobody imagined a mere $100 million bounty could trigger a crisis this big. Left with no other option, the police had to rework the transfer plan yet again. To make sure Mike got moved safely, they called in the entire Special Forces unit with one mission: get Mike out. Dozens of vehicles rolled out in a massive convoy, with helicopters providing air support the whole way. The cops figured a show of force like this would scare off anyone thinking of making a move. But just as the convoy hit an intersection, things went sideways. An old man suddenly stepped into the road, blocking the convoy's path. An officer nearby signaled for him to move. But the next second, the old man pulled out a weapon and opened fire on the police. Turned out he wasn't some random pedestrian. He was a member of the local gang. At the same time, a massive truck came barreling into the convoy, smashing the formation apart in an instant. Then a swarm of gang members poured out of the trailer, hurling smoke grenades, hand grenades, and even firing rocket launchers. A pack of armed foot soldiers rushed in right behind them. The attack wasn't just coming from the ground. Enemies were also lying in wait on the second floors of nearby buildings. Under a hail of gunfire, the gang actually went toe-to-toe with the heavily armed police for a while. In the middle of the chaos, several gang leaders managed to reach the transport vehicle. They yanked the door open, only to find a dummy sitting inside. Seeing that, they had no choice but to surrender. The real Mike had long since been secretly moved by the SWAT team. They took him out through the sewers and loaded him into a getaway car they'd prepped ahead of time. On the way, Mike casually asked the officers what their salaries were.
$66,000 a year.
Not even with overtime.
Loser.
After hearing the answer, he offered to double the bounty on the spot. $200 million split three ways. That meant over $60 million each. If they'd just pull over and let him walk. One of the officers half joked, "Better be in cash, I don't take checks." It was just a passing remark, but his partner took it to heart. The next moment, the officer at the wheel suddenly stopped the car, spun around, and pointed his gun at his teammate. Seeing that, the other officer switched sides too. The two quickly overpowered their former partner and took off with Mike. The officer leading the way up front realized something was off and immediately turned around to give chase. By then, the two traitors had already reached the subway station with Mike, and by the time the pursuing officer arrived, they were already on the train and gone. One of them even flipped him off through the window as the train pulled away. That $200 million had them dead set on getting away.
You better be good for it.
I'll show you if anyone is.
The three of them made their quick escape by subway, and all the police could do was rush ahead to the end of the line to cut them off. They immediately called for backup and deployed a heavy police presence at the terminal. But when SWAT got there, the train never showed. Sensing something was wrong, they backtracked along the tracks and quickly found the train stopped halfway. When they pried the doors open, they were shocked to find no sign of Mike or the two officers, just a shaken conductor. The conductor told them the three had already escaped through the underground tunnels. The moment they heard that, SWAT dove into the sewers to give chase. About 3 minutes in, they spotted a thick cloud of smoke up ahead. They were about to push through when they nearly stepped on a hidden trap. Luckily, someone in the back caught it in time and stopped them. Turned out the smoke wasn't meant to attack them. It was meant to block their line of sight so they wouldn't spot the tripwires on the ground, and the fragmentation mines buried underneath packed enough punch to blow them all to pieces. At this point, the two traitors were operating on a whole different level from your average criminals. They'd already made it to the sewer exit with Mike, and before leaving, they locked the iron gate shut behind them. When SWAT got there, they realized they were completely stuck. The heavy-duty lock was rock solid. Even gunfire couldn't break it. With no other choice, they had to go back and retrieve one of those fragmentation mines, plant it on the gate, and set it off. A deafening blast later, the gate was blown wide open. Meanwhile, Mike had already boarded the vehicle waiting for him. They got a jump on everyone and made it to a bridge. And after driving a stretch, they all got out. They weren't sticking around to fight it out with the cops. They were just buying time to get away. Sure enough, a plane appeared in the sky. Watching it all come together, Mike couldn't help but clap. He realized just how skilled these special ops guys really were. The group quickly boarded the plane, ready to take off. But right at that moment, the pursuing SWAT team spotted a plane landing and followed the trail, speeding onto the bridge. What they didn't know was that the special ops guys had set the whole thing up in advance. As SWAT closed in, they hit a button on their phones, and two cars parked in the middle of the bridge exploded instantly. The captain plowed straight through the burning wreckage. Right after, everyone pulled their weapons and opened fire on the plane. The plane's tires got hit almost immediately. With the pursuing vehicles closing in fast, the pilot had no choice but to force a takeoff. But because of the damage, the plane crashed back down to the ground the second it got airborne. The captain seized the opportunity and rammed the plane's landing gear over and over with his vehicle. After a few brutal hits, the plane completely lost its balance, skidded a few dozen meters, and stopped for good, unable to take off again. Left with no other option, they had to bail out of the plane and go head-to-head with the approaching SWAT team in a fight to the death. With almost no ammo left, keeping up the fight was pointless. One of the operatives realized the mission had failed for good and made a quick call to switch tactics, grabbing a hostage as cover. In a matter of moments, he used the chaos to slip off the bridge. The other operative, once subdued by police, chose to end his own life instead. One SWAT officer noticed someone escaping in the confusion and immediately rappelled down after him. Below the bridge was a dim stretch of railroad tracks, and following the footprints left behind, he quickly made it to a nearby train car. But just as he got close, he was suddenly clubbed from behind. The two of them broke into hand-to-hand combat. Former comrades in arms had become enemies, and with both men evenly matched, neither could gain the upper hand. Right as their fight reached a fever pitch, a train came barreling down the tracks in their direction. The SWAT officer saw his chance, timed it right, and kicked the traitor straight onto the tracks. The next second, he was pulled under the wheels and killed on the spot. In the end, Mike didn't get away. He was recaptured by the police, and what awaited him was a long life sentence with no chance of parole. And the moment he stepped into that prison, Mike finally understood. Not everything in this world can be solved with money.